Samsung completely disabled more than 50 incredible features on the Galaxy S25 Ultra right out of the box. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to turn them all back on. And most of these features are even available on the Galaxy S25 and S25 Plus. Let's get started. Let's jump right into the camera app and not only make some significant upgrades, but also become familiar with some incredible new features. The first thing we're going to do is tap this little grid icon right here, then tap Settings. Then we're going to scroll down until we find Advanced Video Options and tap that. And we're going to scroll to the very bottom of this page and enable Audio Playback. This is going to let you record a video while also playing music with your phone at the same time. Now, obviously, you're not going to be playing music out of the phone's speakers while recording a video because the sound would just be completely overpowering. But this is actually really useful if you're using a Bluetooth speaker and you want to film at the same time, like maybe at a party, or if you've just got some music going and your kids are dancing around and you want to capture the moment. If this feature was disabled, it would automatically stop playing all music, even on Bluetooth speakers, as soon as you started recording a video with your phone. Now let's go back a page and scroll up a little bit and jump into the advanced picture options. If you tap motion photo capture, you'll see that you can now capture motion photos not only before the shutter, but also before and after. And this is super useful if you accidentally took a motion photo too early. Recording a little bit of video after the shutter button is pressed allows you to actually capture the moment you were trying to capture. The next upgrade we need to make in the camera app is found in the video section. And if you look at the top right, you'll see that the default resolution is set to Full HD, which is actually a really low resolution. So you should switch this to UHD, which is also called 4K. And the reason is because most TVs are 4K resolution TVs right now. So if you film everything in Full HD and then you take that video from your phone and put it onto the TV, it's just not going to look as good. Now you may have also noticed that there's an 8K option as well, which is a ridiculously high resolution, and it's a far higher resolution than the vast majority of TVs are even capable of. And this also uses a tremendous amount of storage space, so I only recommend using 8K video if you want to be able to digitally zoom in a lot in the video after you record the video. Other than that, I'd go ahead and just leave it at UHD. The next thing you should do is become familiar with a brand new feature that only shows up when you tap the record button, and it's this icon right here in the bottom right corner. When you tap this, you'll get a zoom slider, and you can drag this up or down a little bit, and you'll start zooming in or out at a super smooth, constant rate. And this looks so much better than just tapping the different zoom levels, or even swiping across the zoom levels as well. It's just not going to be as smooth as that new method. Now let's tap the More menu, and jump into Expert RAW mode. The first time you tap this mode, it's going to need to download, so just wait for it to download and then you'll be able to open it. And once it's opened, just tap this little beaker icon here, then tap this star looking icon, and you'll be able to take Astrophotos. These are pictures of the stars that come out absolutely incredible. But before you try to get one of these photos, just know that the phone needs to be set up on a tripod because it takes a super long exposure to get that picture. Now that you're set up for much better photos and videos, let's protect those memories from theft. To do this, we're going to pull down the quick panel, then tap the settings gear, and then we're going to scroll down until we find the security and privacy menu and tap that. Then tap lost device protection, then find my mobile, and enable allow this phone to be found and offline finding. And once these are enabled, you'll be able to go to samsungfind.samsung.com on any device and be able to see exactly where your phone is. And if you tap one of your devices, then tap the More option, you'll be able to do things like actively track the phone's location, remotely erase all the data in case somebody stole it, remotely turn on power saving mode, or even just send you an email whenever the device is detected. So if you want to make sure you never lose your S25 Ultra, definitely enable this feature. Now let's jump back into the lost device protection, then theft protection, and enable theft detection lock. This is going to use the phone's motion sensors and its Wi-Fi and Bluetooth to detect if someone stole your phone right out of your hand and started running away. Then it'll automatically lock your phone, even if your phone was unlocked and you were using it at the time. So this is a great way to easily protect all the data on your phone in case it's stolen. And if you want to be extra safe, you can enable offline device lock, which will automatically lock your device if they try to disable Wi-Fi. And the last option allows you to remotely lock your phone at android.com/lock with just a phone number. The next feature we're going to enable is huge for sports fans, and it's pretty well hidden. To get to this, we're going to pull our quick panel down and go to our settings, then scroll down and go into the lock screen settings, then the Now bar settings, then we're going to make sure the Sports from Google option is enabled, and we're going to tap the Sports from Google text. Then we're going to tap Sports from Google settings. Now you can tap Search by Team and enter your favorite team names in. And as you start to type the name, you'll see a bunch of teams start to populate below. And if you see your team, just tap Follow, then Finish again, and they'll be added to the teams you're following. Now just repeat the process for any teams in any sport you want to follow. Once this is set up, you'll see the real-time score of any actively running games in the top left corner of your screen, and if you pull your notification shade down, you'll see some extra details as well. Alternatively, you could just tap the status bar and see the details there. And if you tap those details, you'll get a bunch more information about the game, and you can even scroll down on this page and see things like scoring trends and team stats. And the score is even shown at the bottom of your lock screen on the Now bar, and if you tap that, it'll expand it and give you some extra information about what's currently happening. And once the game's over, you'll get the final score. In the next section, we'll be talking all about making your phone significantly faster. But all the speed in the world is not going to help you when your bank accounts are hacked and all your personal photos and texts are blasted all over the internet. So let's fix that by installing a VPN. This is a software that blocks hackers from seeing your login information when you're using Wi-Fi at a public location, like at a coffee shop, hotel, or an airport. My recommendation for a VPN is the one that I've personally been using when I travel, and that's Surfshark VPN, who also happened to reach out to sponsor today's video. And since I've used Surfshark during many of my work trips for nearly a decade, it was an easy partnership to say yes to. But there's a couple very specific reasons why I personally use Surfshark over other VPNs. The first and most important reason for me personally is that Surfshark is much faster than some of the other VPNs I've tried. Like, it's literally twice as fast as some of the VPNs. Second, I've had no connectivity issues with Surfshark. This is something that has been an issue with other VPNs for me in the past. Sometimes I would just completely lose internet connection and have to disable the VPN, reconnect to the internet, and then enable the VPN again. That has never been an issue when I'm using Surfshark. And the best part? One subscription covers your entire family and all of your devices with no limitation. All you have to do is just log into each device with the same credentials and you're good to go. And if you use my exclusive links in the description and a pinned comment, or go to surfshark.com/TechEpisodeTV, you can get 4 extra months added to your subscription, bringing the price down to just over $2 per month for the first 28 months of the starter plan. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you decide to drop the VPN protection and roll the dice with hackers, you can get your money back, which you're probably going to need when you hire someone to help with identity theft later on. Now let's make this phone ridiculously fast by changing a few settings, starting with the lock screen. Now by default, it actually unlocks really fast in the first place. And here's a quick bonus tip for you guys. You don't actually need to turn the screen on first before unlocking it. You can just press where the fingerprint sensor is and it'll unlock. But there's actually an even faster way to unlock your device. So let's set that up now. We're going to go to Settings, then scroll down to the lock screen option and tap that. Then tap Screen Lock and Biometrics. Draw your pattern or enter your passcode. Then we're going to tap Face Recognition and register our face. But there's something we need to change after registering our face that's really important to speed this up a lot. So for now, just tap Continue and register my face. After you register your face, you'll be brought to this page, and there's another setting here called Add Alternative Appearance to enhance recognition. This is tremendously useful if you have a beard, then you shave the beard, or if you have a large pair of aviator sunglasses that you wear, or you have anything else that'll alter the appearance of your face. So the next time you get those aviator glasses on, come back here and tap Add Alternative Appearance and register again with your glasses on. The last thing we need to do to speed this up is disable the Stay on Lock Screen Until Swipe option. What this will do is anytime it recognizes your face, it's going to immediately jump straight past your lock screen. And as you can see, this is ridiculously fast. It's like as soon as I press that button, we're already in. So if you want incredibly fast unlocking, this is the way to do it. If you kept this feature enabled, then tried to unlock your phone, it would unlock, but you'd still have to swipe on your screen, which is an extra step, and that does take longer than just using the fingerprint. Now let's make 3 of our favorite apps always open extremely quickly and never have to reload. To do this, you first have to open those 3 applications. And obviously one of those should be the TechEpisode TV YouTube channel, so you guys can binge watch all of my Galaxy S25 Ultra coverage. Then once all 3 of those applications are open, just go to your recent applications, tap the app icon, then tap Keep Open. And you can do this with up to 3 applications. If you try to do it with a fourth application, it's just going to be grayed out and tell you that you can't do that. And you'll know which applications are locked by this blue lock icon on the bottom right. And if you ever want to unlock one of your applications and switch it to a different application, you can just tap that lock icon and it'll unlock that app. Another important thing to know is that you can't even manually close those applications if they're locked. Now that our favorite apps aren't going to reload on us when we open them, let's make the animations for opening and closing the applications even faster as well. But to do that, we need to turn on a hidden menu, like literally it's hidden. First, we got to go to Settings, then scroll all the way down and tap About Phone, then Software Information, then tap the build number 7 times. Once you do that, you'll be asked to unlock your phone. Once you unlock your phone, you'll be asked one more time if you want to enable these developer settings, then just tap OK. Then back out of here and scroll all the way down and you'll see the new developer options menu. If you tap this, then scroll a little more than halfway down, you'll see these animation scales. If you tap these and set them all to 0.5 times, that will double your animation speed. So now when I open and close applications, they're going to move so much faster. And this is for all animations, including things like bringing up your recent applications and tapping into a different application from the recent applications. All of it is going to be twice as fast. Now let's make it faster to get to our notifications and our quick panel. By default, you'll have to reach all the way up to the top of the phone and swipe down in order to get to these two panels. But if you pinch in on your home screen, then tap Settings on the bottom right and scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see this option here called Swipe Down for Notification Panel. If you enable this, you'll be able to swipe down anywhere on your home screen and it'll immediately pull your notification shade down. And if you want to get to the quick panel, just swipe over to the side and you'll be right to the quick panel. And if you're in one application and you want to get to your previously used application as quickly as possible, instead of opening up your recent apps and jumping into that application, just swipe across the bar on the bottom and you'll be able to switch back and forth between all of your applications. Now, obviously, this is only going to work if you have gesture navigation enabled, but there's a different shortcut that you can use with button navigation, and I'll show you how to do that now. If we go to our settings, then scroll down to display, then scroll down until we see navigation bar and tap that. If I switch to the buttons option, and these buttons appear, I can actually now just double tap the recents button, and that'll switch me back and forth between my two most recent applications. Personally, I prefer the swipe gestures, so I'm going to switch it back to that. And here's a quick bonus tip if you're coming from an iPhone. If you have swipe gestures enabled and you want to go back, you can swipe in from either the left or right side from any application. It doesn't matter which app you're in, you'll be able to use either side, which is awesome. If you're coming from an iPhone, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a whole big thing. Don't get me started. The default flashlight on the S25 Ultra is pretty bright, but you can actually make it a lot brighter by long pressing on the flashlight toggle and dragging the slider up. And for reference, here's the default brightness, the max brightness, and the minimum brightness. The default notifications on the S25 Ultra are pretty bland, so let's go ahead and spice that up a bit. To do that, we're just going to pull our notification shade down, tap notification settings on the bottom left, tap the back arrow, then tap notification pop-up style, change it to brief, and that'll unlock some new settings. And when we tap edge lighting style, we'll be able to add some cool effects like fireworks popping out around the notification, or other types of border effects. And if you tap advanced, you can change how long the effects are applied for, as well as the transparency of those effects, and even the width of the border. But the most useful setting here is color by keyword. What this does is allow you to enter specific keywords, and if the notification style matches that keyword, you can change the color to whatever you want. So if I want to make sure I never miss a text from my wife, I can just make wife the keyword, tap the plus icon, and change that to a color that's really going to stand out. Now you'll be able to quickly identify exactly who that message is coming from. And now when I get a notification, I'll get that red outline and red effects to tell me who the message is coming from. And if I tap the little down arrow right there, I'll be able to see the full message. And here's a quick bonus tip. If I jump into my notifications and I pull down on the message, then tap this little pop-out icon right here, it'll actually pop just that message out into its own little bubble. And if I tap up here, it'll just drop back down and I can drag that around my screen. And now anytime I get a new message, it'll just show up in that little bubble. Then I can tap it and it all stays in this little pop-up window. And this is a much faster way to access specific conversations. And if you open up more than one conversation into the app bubble, you'll see that conversation appear at the top and you can just tap back and forth between them. But something really important to know about these chat bubbles is that anytime a new message comes in, it's going to open up in this chat bubble instead of in the messages application. So if you want to stop getting notifications in this bubble mode, just tap the name of the person, tap notifications, then disable the bubble this conversation. Once you tap this, it'll immediately take that out of the bubble. If you're like me, sometimes you'll pick up your phone and have dozens and dozens and dozens of notifications, many of which you don't really even care about. But sometimes you don't want to just completely disable notifications from an application because maybe you do want some of them, just not all of them. Well, Samsung hid an incredibly useful notification customization feature super deep in the settings. To get to it, we're going to pull down our quick panel, tap Settings, scroll down to Notifications, then go to Advanced Settings, then scroll all the way to the bottom, then enable Manage Notification Categories for each app. Now if I back out one page, then tap App Notifications, and I'm going to scroll down to YouTube and use that for an example. And if I tap the actual application name, I'll have a new option here called Notification Categories that previously wasn't there. If I tap this, I can choose which specific types of notifications I want to receive from that specific application. And each application has its own set of different notification options. So definitely take some time to go through these and really clear up your notification shade. The display on the S25 Ultra looks pretty good out of the box, but Samsung left a lot on the table in the settings, so let's go ahead and fix that. Let's pull our quick panel down, jump back into the settings, then we're going to scroll down to the display settings and tap that. Then we're going to scroll down a little ways and we're going to tap screen resolution. By default, the screen resolution's set to FHD+, but the phone's capable of QHD+ resolution. So if you want the maximum screen quality on your S25 Ultra, go ahead and switch this to QHD+. Just remember to tap apply, otherwise the changes won't be made. The next visual improvement is found in camera cutout. This can completely hide the camera cutout with a black bar depending on which specific application you're in. And this is specifically useful for the YouTube application, because if you select to hide the camera cutout here, when you go into full screen mode when watching a video, you're not going to have that black camera dot covering part of the video. It's just going to shrink the screen down a little bit instead. So if you find the camera cutout annoying in any particular application, this is a great feature to enable. If we scroll further down the display settings, you'll see this edge panels option here. You're definitely going to want to make sure that this is enabled, because the edge panel is a tremendously powerful feature that barely anybody uses, and it's probably because they just don't realize how powerful this is, especially since it can be accessed from literally any screen. So here's how to maximize its usefulness. First, we're going to go ahead and tap this pencil icon, and we're going to tap to add all of our favorite applications. And if you drag two applications on top of each other, you can create folders as well. Once that's set up, go back to your home screen and pull your edge panel back out. Now from here, you can just tap an application to open it, which is great. But what's even more useful is you can actually long press an application and drag it out to either be a pop-up application, which is really useful for the calculator if you need to do some quick math on something that's currently on your screen. Or you can open applications in split screen view just by dragging them to the top or bottom. Then you can just tap another application to open it on the other side. And if you want to switch the orientation, just tap the bar in the middle and tap the flip icon. And you can even drag the bar up or down to expand or contract the different applications. And if you pull out your app's edge again, then swipe a second time on it, you'll actually reveal more panels. This first one is a shortcuts panel to let you do anything from immediately open a new tab in the internet browser to immediately start recording a new note. And if you swipe again, you'll get a weather panel with quick weather information. Swiping again will give you quick tools like a ruler, and this works for both centimeters and inches. And if you tap these three dots in the upper right corner, you get access to these other tools as well. And swiping again, it takes you back to the apps panel. If you want to customize these panels, just swipe them in, and within the first few seconds, tap this little settings gear, and that'll take you into the panel settings. From here, you can enable or disable different panels, and if you swipe across, you'll see that there's more to pick from. So definitely give these a shot because this is one of my most used features on Samsung phones. While we're talking about things on the edge of the device, we also need to talk about the side key because most people just use it to turn their screen on or off, access their digital assistants, and maybe even double press it to open up their camera. But there's way more that you can do with this button thanks to new features that were added on the S25 series. So let's set that up now. To get to these settings, just long press the side key and volume down keys at the same time. Then you'll get this menu here, and at the bottom, you'll see side button settings. Go ahead and tap that. Then tap the double press text, and you'll be given a ton of new double press options. You'll now be able to use the double press to do anything from turning on your flashlight, to activating different modes and routines that can completely change all of the settings on your device with just a double press. And you can, of course, still use it to open up any application you have installed as well. So definitely take a look through these options and see if there's anything that's more useful to you than just opening up the camera app. And if we back out of here, you'll see the other option, which is the long press shortcut. Now by default, this is set to Gemini, which is Google's new assistant. And I honestly recommend that you keep it set to Gemini because this thing is absurdly powerful. Here's just a few quick, super cool things you can do with it. And to activate Gemini, I'm just going to long press the side key. Create an image of a lion wearing glasses and a cowboy hat, reading a book in an office behind a desk. Like, that's just insane. It got everything exactly right. While the image generation is cool, you can also use Gemini for practical things like this. Find out when the next Lakers game is and add it to my schedule.
Okay, I'm adding Los Angeles Lakers versus Charlotte Hornets to your calendar.
You can even use Gemini to improve your photo taking skills. Just open up Gemini, tap Ask About Screen, then tap the microphone and say, how can I make this photo better?
Let's analyze the photo and brainstorm ways to make it better. What's good about the photo?
Then it'll tell you what's good about it, and then it'll go into some really specific details on how to make it even better. Like, it's crazy the amount of advice it gives. Besides testing out all the crazy things you can do with Gemini, you should also customize its voice, which is hidden super deep in the settings. To get to it, we're going to pull down our quick panel, then tap the settings gear, then scroll down until we get to Google and tap that. Then we're going to tap all services, then search assistant and voice, then Gemini, then Gemini voice. And there are a lot of different options for voices.
I'd be honored to be the voice you choose for Gemini, but let's face it, the other voices are great too.
Now let's make some upgrades to our lock screen. To do this, you're just going to long press the lock screen until you're asked to unlock your phone. Then go ahead and do that. And from here, the first thing we're going to do is add some widgets. And these widgets will give you quick access to useful information like the current weather, how close you are to reaching your daily activity goals for the day, and even things like a shortcut to a specific camera mode. But if you use something like this custom camera widget, you will need to tap the widget, then select which camera you want to use and which photo mode you want it to open up into. Once you're done setting up your widgets, you should also customize these shortcuts down here, because if you use the double press side key to open up your camera, you don't really need this camera shortcut here because you're never going to use it. So just go ahead and tap it. Then you get access to a ton of different really useful options, like quickly turning on your flashlight, turning on or off power saving mode or dark mode, or even opening up any application you have installed on your device. I personally use the flashlight a lot, so I'm going to go ahead and switch to that. Then you can do the same with the phone shortcut as well. The clock on the Galaxy S25 Ultra is now a lot more customizable as well. You can make it a whole lot bigger, and you have a much larger area to move it around in. And in case you're wondering, that vertical line that popped up just tells you that it's centered. And you'll also notice that as you move the clock around, the widgets move with it. And if you pull this menu back up, then tap Style, you get a bunch of different clock styles to pick from, including these new animated ones, which look pretty cool. And this is also where you get the option to show the weather information next to the clock as well. And that frees up one of the widget spots for something else. Some of the clock styles also let you change the font and style as well. And if you tap the three dots at the end, you can even download new fonts. And there's a ton of new fonts to pick from. Now that we're done customizing that, there's one more really cool customization option that I want to show you guys with the lock screen. And it's this wallpapers section here, but it's not just adding any old wallpaper. If we scroll down to the bottom, you see this option here called Dynamic Lock Screen. And if you tap this, you'll be able to select multiple categories. And what this will do is automatically change your wallpaper every single time you turn the display on. And if you swipe in from the right edge, you'll actually be able to swipe through all the available wallpapers. And if there's one that you don't particularly like, you can just tap the three dots in the upper right corner and tap Hide This Image. And if you tap this grid here, it'll take you right back to the menu. So if you decide that you don't want one of them, you can just deselect it. And you also get a brand new set of these images every 2 weeks. If you'd prefer to use your own image for the dynamic background, just unlock your phone, jump into the Gallery application, select all the images that you want to be part of that dynamic wallpaper, tap More, tap Set as Wallpaper, then tap Lock Screen. Now just tap Done, and now the lock screen is going to update with my own wallpapers. And in case you're wondering, this even works for video. So now that our lock screen is all set up and a whole lot more useful, let's go ahead and unlock our screen and set up another feature that's off by default. First, we're going to pull down our quick panel, then our quick toggles, then find the always on display toggle, but instead of tapping it, long press it, and that'll bring up the always on display menu. So now let's go ahead and turn it on. And at the bottom, you'll see that by default, it only shows when you tap the screen. But if you want it to show all the time, just tap that and set it to auto. This is a much better option than always because auto is going to turn it off whenever your phone is face down or it's in a dark place or it hasn't been moved for at least 5 minutes. And that's going to save a considerable amount of battery life while still giving you all the benefits of the always on display. And you have the option to hide the background, but honestly, having the background on looks so much better, so I recommend keeping this on unless you really want to save even more battery life. So now if I turn my screen off, you see the beginning of that video animation, but what's really cool about this is when I turn the screen on, the video is going to start to play, and after a few seconds when the screen turns back off, it's going to stop the video at that point, and then that's going to be my always on display. And if I tap the screen to wake it up again, it's going to continue playing the video from that point. So that is super cool. Another huge benefit to the always on display is that you'll have quick access to your media controls for anything that's active. That means you can just double tap one of the controls and it'll actually perform that action without having to fully wake up the display. Samsung's added a new feature to the Galaxy S25 Ultra called the Now Brief, and it's this little widget that you guys have seen throughout the video. To add this widget, just pinch it on your home screen, tap Widgets, tap Now Brief, then long press it, and drag it onto your home screen. When you tap this, you get a briefing of your day, and depending on what you have enabled, it'll show you different things like the weather, how you slept in the previous night, your energy score, and upcoming appointments if you have any. But if you come to the bottom right here and tap the settings gear, you can actually customize what's included. So I'm just going to tap Content to Include, and you can see there's a ton of different options. So definitely take a look through here and see what's most important to you, and enable or disable the things that you want or don't want. Now let's enable some hidden shortcuts for faster access to multi-window. To do this, we're going to pull down our quick panel, jump into the settings, scroll down until we get to advanced features and tap that. Then we're going to tap multi-window, and we're going to enable this swipe for split screen option, the swipe for pop-up view option, and the full screen in split screen view option. The swipe for split screen option allows you to swipe up from the bottom with 2 fingers to immediately open the current window up in split screen view and bring up your recent applications so you can quickly open a second application in split screen view with the first one. Swipe for pop-up view allows you to swipe in from the upper right or left corner and create a pop-up window from the active window. This is super useful for things like messaging apps because you can then tap this bar, then tap this minimize icon, and keep that messaging app open all the time just floating around on your screen. Then you can quickly tap it and reply to a message, then just minimize it back down without having to fully open up the messaging application. And full screen and split screen view allows you to use the entire screen when you're in split screen view. That means your app's going to come all the way to the bottom and all the way to the top. If this was disabled, you'd have your notification bar on top, and then you'd lose a little bit of space on the bottom as well. When you're on a phone call, you can pull the notification shade down, and you see this mic mode option at the top. If you tap this, you can change your mic mode from standard to voice focus, and what this will do is drown out the background noise and make it a lot easier to hear your voice. This is especially useful in noisy places like maybe on a subway, walking on a city street, or at a construction site. However, I'd keep this set to standard unless you're in one of those really noisy environments, because while this does do an excellent job of getting rid of the background noise, it does distort your voice a little bit. Not only did Samsung remove the Bluetooth functionality from the S Pen on the S25 Ultra, but they also disabled some really useful features. So let's go ahead and re-enable them. We're going to pull our quick panel down, go to the settings, then scroll down until we find the advanced features and tap that. Then we'll tap S Pen, and you want to enable screen off memos and quick notes. When screen off memo is enabled, you'll be able to take your S Pen out while the screen is off, then start writing on the screen immediately. This is great for taking quick notes. Once you tap save, that note's going to be saved to your Samsung Notes app. Quick Notes allows you to quickly start a new note just by holding the S Pen button down and double tapping the screen. That'll bring a new note up and you'll be able to start writing immediately. And here's a quick bonus tip. Whenever you have the S Pen out, if you tap in a text field, you can handwrite anything you want in that text field and it'll automatically convert it to digital text. And if for some reason you don't want that handwriting in the text box option, you can just come back to these S Pen settings and disable S Pen to text. Now when I tap in a text box, it'll bring up the keyboard, and I can handwrite in the keyboard, or I can tap this T icon and switch back to the regular keyboard. And yes, you can swipe to text with the S Pen on the regular keyboard. If we jump back into the S Pen settings, you're also going to want to go into More S Pen Settings and enable Warn if S Pen is left behind. While the S Pen may no longer have Bluetooth, the phone still knows when the S Pen is in its silo. So if the S Pen is out of the silo and you walk away, your phone is going to detect that you're missing the S Pen and give you a notification. This page will also tell you the last date and time that the S Pen was removed from the silo, and that'll make it a lot easier to figure out where it is. If you ever watch movies on your phone, then enabling this next feature will make a big difference in the audio quality. Go ahead and pull down your quick panel, then your quick toggles, and enable the Dolby Atmos toggle. This not only increases the max volume a little bit, but it noticeably widens the soundstage. And what I mean by that is if you're watching a movie and you're holding your phone in landscape mode, with Dolby Atmos on, it almost sounds like the speakers are further out to the sides. But with Dolby Atmos off, it sounds like the speakers are right here and here. Atmos will also make movies sound a bit more full as well. Now technically this does also work for all kinds of audio, including music and YouTube videos, but you're going to notice the biggest difference with movies. And this even works with wireless earbuds. So if you have wireless earbuds in, there's really a noticeable difference with Atmos on versus off. The next powerful feature to enable is found in your quick panel. If you pull down your quick toggles and start scrolling through these, you'll find one called Wi-Fi calling. And this is off by default. What this does is allow you to make calls and send text through Wi-Fi instead of having to use a cell tower, which is extraordinarily useful if you're somewhere that doesn't have good cell service. The first time you tap this, you'll be taken through a setup process, so just follow all the prompts to set it up. If we jump back into our settings, then scroll all the way down to Advanced Features and tap that, then go into the Motion and Gestures section, you'll see some really useful gestures. And some of these might not be on for you by default, so definitely come in and check to see what's enabled. The double tap feature is something I use all the time, and you've seen me using it a lot all throughout this video. You just have to double tap on your home screen to turn your screen off, and double tap again to turn your screen on. Alert when phone picked up is another great feature to have enabled, because if you had your phone left somewhere and you missed a text, when you come back and pick your phone up, it's going to vibrate, letting you know that you missed a notification. Mute with Gestures is another great one to have on for calls or any types of alarms. If I go to my timer and just set a 1-second timer, for example, when that starts going off, I could just put my hand on the screen and it turns the sound off. Palm swipe to capture is pretty neat. It just allows you to swipe your hand across the screen to take a screenshot, but I personally just prefer to press the side key and volume down keys at the same time. And the lift to wake feature will just wake up your screen whenever you pick it up. Just keep in mind that the lift to wake and alert when phone picked up features will use a bit more battery life because they're always going to be detecting the motion of the phone. It shouldn't cause a significant amount of battery drain, but it will cause a little bit more. And at the very bottom, you'll see this keep screen on while viewing option. If you tap this, it'll take you into the display settings, and specifically the screen timeout settings. When this is enabled, your screen is never going to turn off as long as you're looking at the screen. And this will allow you to set your screen timeout really low to like 15 seconds so you can save a bit more battery life, but you won't have to worry about the screen just shutting off on you while you're reading a long message. Sometimes, using a smartphone can cause fatigue, either on your eyes or on your hands due to all the finger gymnastics you need to do to reach the top of the screen. Alright, that was a bit of a dramatic reach for the top of the screen. Typically it's just a little finger dance to get up to the top, but you guys get what I'm saying. So let's start by fixing the eye fatigue, and then we'll fix the finger gymnastics after that. The first option for fixing eye fatigue is found in your quick panel. If you long press this moon icon, it'll take you into the dark mode settings, and you'll have the option to turn it on a schedule. You can have it on sunset to sunrise, which will change based on your local time, or create your own custom schedule. And what this will do is automatically enable the dark mode feature whenever you're between that time frame. And having that dark background is going to make it a lot easier on your eyes. The second thing you can do is pull down your quick panel and search through it until you find Eye Comfort Shield, then long press this. If I enable this, you'll see that the screen gets a bit more yellow. And that's because all the blue light from the screen can start to give some people a headache. And if you really want to increase the effect of this, tap Custom and drag the slider up as needed. Personally, that's a bit too much for me, so I'm going to bring that back a bit. And if you use the custom color temperature, you'll also get that schedule option. Using Adaptive will automatically adjust the color all throughout the day based on your current lighting conditions. And the Enhanced Comfort option will remove even more of that blue light as you get into nighttime. And this will also make it easier to fall asleep because there's been a ton of studies done showing that blue light from a phone right before you go to sleep does make it a lot harder to actually fall asleep. To fix the hand fatigue from all the finger gymnastics, we're going to go back into our settings, then scroll down until we get to advanced features and jump into there. Then we're going to enable one-handed mode. This will allow you to swipe down from the bottom edge of the screen to bring the entire screen down into this little window. And that's going to make it a whole lot easier to reach the top of the screen. If this window is too small for you, you can grab the corner and drag it out as far as you want. If you're left-handed, just tap the left arrow and it'll switch it to the other side. And you can also drag the window up and down the side of the phone as well. And when you're ready to go back to full screen mode, just tap anywhere outside the window. Alternatively, you can just swipe down again from the bottom and that'll expand it as well. And whenever you go back into that one-handed mode, it's going to remember exactly how big to make the screen and exactly which side to put it on. So if you want the best of both worlds with a super big phone that can also be used one-handed, this is the way to do it. If you want to see 30 more brand new Galaxy S25 Ultra features that pretty much every other tech reviewer missed, you can check out this video here. Or if you don't yet have an S25 and you're on the fence between the regular, Plus, and Ultra variants, you could check out my ridiculously deep dive comparison review by clicking this video instead. And consider subscribing and turning on notifications if you don't want to miss more deep dive S25 Ultra coverage. That's it for this tech episode. Jesus loves you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.